Yes, people, I'm Srini and you're watching More Than a Game Presents It Is What It Is, a show where we do what you do. We watch the games, we talk about them, we banter our friends because this right here is life as a football fan. It is what it is. And of course, today I'm joined by a fellow City fan in Ritvik. Yes, we do exist. And of course, I'm joined by Adibir as well, who's a Liverpool fan. So Ritvik, do you want to let them know what we're doing today?
So today we're going to round off the Prem, talk about the Prem weekend, talk about the biggest talking points, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So let's kick things off.
So guys, we're into the first segment of the show and we have to talk about the big game of the weekend, the Manchester Derby. United coming out on top 2-0 and luckily I've got two City fans with me. So Ritik, let's start with you. Where do you think it went wrong?
Oh, it went wrong from right from the first minute with Gabriel Jesus giving off the penalty. After that, it just shattered his confidence. He couldn't shoot. He started passing inside the D, which is not the job of a striker. Then secondly, I think United did a very good job by playing Dean Henderson instead of De Gea. It was a blessing in disguise. They were playing with a high line, which they usually don't. That was stopping the City attacks. And of course, Mahrez doesn't have that pace. He was being pocketed by Shaw, and De Bruyne and Gundogan were being pocketed by Fred and McTominay, who were doing their jobs brilliantly. They were also joining the defense, making it a 6-man defense at times, 7-man defense at times, and that was just very frustrating. And just a bad day at the office for City, I think. No plan B, that as they say,
Point. Srini, I'm going to come to you next on this one. Ollie's got the best of Pep recently in the last couple of years. So, in your opinion, what do you make of the game?
I mean, firstly, we have to give credit to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I've always mentioned this point that while I may be a City fan, I think Ole is a top coach in the making for sure. And you could see that in the game. And I think I want to touch on 2 points mainly. The first point I want to touch on is their pressing system. I think they pressed the hell out of City in those first 15 minutes. And I think that forced that Gabriel Jesus error. Because one great point about Pep's system is that everyone falls back to recycle the ball. But I think that became a bit of a naive error from Jesus because once again, I think United was so intense that we just wanted to get the ball back, but we actually fell into their trap. I don't think that was a case of it being spontaneous. I think that was a set plan because they did that against Chelsea as well. I think their pressing was very impressive. And another thing that I want to touch on is their defensive shape. I think that they made the pitch so narrow that the likes of Cancelo had to go out wide to make sure something happens. But then Luke Shaw was on the neck of Riyad Mahrez, or Wan-Bissaka was on the neck of Sterling, which made sure that a lot of our passes just went astray. And once again, we couldn't play those line-breaking passes because they had pushed so many men forward, and as Ritvik mentioned, they played a high line. So De Bruyne and Gundogan and the likes could not play those line-breaking passes. So I think the records speak for themselves. Ole is the first manager in United history to win 3 consecutive away derbies. So fair play to Ole and United. I think they were absolutely brilliant. But I want to play devil's advocate, Adi. I've mentioned that Ole was fantastic, but would you put it down to a tactical masterclass, or would you rather say that City just had a very, very off night?
I think it's a bit of both. United in recent years under Ole have got the better of Pep. I think it's 4 wins against him now. Yeah. So tactically, he does get spot on against Guardiola. Not towards the other top 6. He loses a lot of points against him, but against Guardiola, it's when the Ole magic comes up. But against City were off colour, proven by the fact that João Cancelo was hooked off after 65 minutes. He had a stinker. And he's been one of City's most consistent players this year, which was a bit surprising to see him perform that way. Against City, not up to the mark, not making the best of any chances, just passing around the box, not taking their shots. And I think United deserved the result. They were tactically very, very good. But anyway, guys, let us know in the comments what your thoughts on the game were. Can United really challenge next season? They're a bit, almost 11 points off now, but maybe next year is their year. Let us know below.
So, Mr. Liverpool, 1 win in the last 5 games, 6 away losses. What's going wrong for Liverpool? Is it injuries, or do you think they're just underperforming?
I'm honestly out of excuses. I mean, this is not Anfield anymore. 6 home losses is unfathomable. I don't even know what to say. I could have made the excuse of injuries till probably Jan, Feb, but now it's just a case of mentality. I mean, Jamie Carragher put it pretty aptly. They're mentality midgets, not mentality monsters anymore. I mean, this Liverpool team, the champions of England, they're a shadow of what they were 6 months ago. I mean, it's looking so bleak, man. Like, I don't know where to turn. Just, I'm speechless. I don't know where to go. Srini, I'm gonna come to you, man. This guy's always mugging me off on WhatsApp, on Twitter. He's Thiago's biggest fan. What are your thoughts?
Man, you can't even say the Thiago's fan thing. It makes me sound like a Brexit merchant. It makes me sound like bloody Piers Morgan with my footballing takes. That's not true. But what I will say is that, yeah, I agree with you. I think the injuries have been a massive loss. We can't just, sort of paper over them, because I think it is the worst injury crisis in Premier League history, bar none. But I also think that Klopp is losing trust when it comes to his players. I mean, look at that Fulham performance, the number of changes he made. Salah was the only one who started in that front three. Of course, Diego Jota came back, so fair play, he got a chance. But then Sadio Mane and Firmino got benched. You saw that in the midfield as well, Keita coming back. And in the defense mainly, I was quite surprised to see Nico Williams starting, because I don't think that lad is ready to start for Liverpool or to be a backup to Trent. And you could see with the acres of space the likes of Ademola Lookman were getting. I think that Fulham were unlucky not to win 4-5-0. I think they were brilliant. And I think that this is a massive factor, because it's not a case of where with City they make their changes and you see the same system running. It's not like a self-sustainable system or like a system that runs on clockwork like last season. I think it's the case where the personnel have dropped off massively. The injuries have compounded to that, and which is why Liverpool are where they are. And, I'll come to you, Ritvik, because I saw you doing that intro and I've not seen you smile so much. So, we've talked about the injuries. We've talked about how they may be underperforming. But for you, do you even think they'll make Europa League? Because it doesn't look likely at the moment.
Well, if they continue to go at the speed they are, then I don't even think they're going to finish 7th or 8th. They might even drop down to the bottom half. But it's just the case of, okay, everyone has bad days. Everyone goes through a rough patch. And at the moment, it's the front three of Liverpool that are going through a rough patch. I'm not going to blame the defense because they don't have a defense right now. But when people are underperforming, what happens? You need other people to step up. That's what makes the big teams big. That's what, look at City, look at the mentality. When De Bruyne doesn't perform, Gundogan does. We play without a striker. We play with the false nine. Similarly, you have to adapt. You have to have other people stepping up. Divock Origi has to step up. The likes of Origi and Shaqiri, whatever they are, they have to prove they are champions. They have to step up. And I think that's the only thing that's missing. You can't keep blaming Salah and Mane for their, underperforming spells.
That's a good point you make. And I feel like we don't have the personnel. We don't have a bench that is quality enough to fill in for that personnel when it's missing. So when we're depending on the likes of James Milner who's starting, I mean, I know there are a lot of players benched, like you mentioned, Nico Williams, why he's starting and all. Probably we have one eye on the Champions League. I think we're playing this in midweek. So I think all the eggs are in that basket to hopefully win some silverware. Could be the Champions League potentially, but I think that's the only excuse you could make as to, I mean, this side looks completely finished. I think it's just next season, get your head down and we move from there.
Yeah, and just one line that sums Liverpool's just as you mentioned, Liverpool's inadequacy when it comes to their depth is that, as Jamie Carragher mentions, Jurgen Klopp can't trust his bench. I think that's probably the biggest problem that they have. You mentioned the likes of Gundogan, but I think City have such incredible strength in depth that Ferran Torres looks like he's come on vacation to Manchester. Well, he was a 20 million signing, so that kind of shows that we've built an incredible team, and Liverpool don't have the likes of Origi to be a cult hero anymore. So that's my take on it. But guys, what do you think? Do you think Liverpool are underperforming massively? Do you think it's the injuries? Do you think Liverpool will make Europa League? Do you think Liverpool will get relegated? No, they have more than 40 points. I'm kidding, but let us know in the comments below what you think. This is going to be a very controversial. Cool. So, Adi, I want to ask you straight up. I mean, last night's game was phenomenal from Chelsea. Tuchel is doing absolute bits. So what do you think? Do you think they can actually claim that top 4 spot? Do you think they could potentially make top 3? What do you think?
I think so. When Lampard left, they were languishing in 8th, 9th, nowhere near the top 4. And suddenly they're back in the mix, 4 points behind second place United, 3 behind Leicester. And not even 4th. I think they could go for 3rd place. Leicester, we know they have well-documented injuries. They have very on and off form. I think Chelsea, can capitalize. Thomas Tuchel, 11 unbeaten since he's come, which is phenomenal. They look absolutely solid at the back. Defensively, I think it's 5 clean sheets in his first 5 games, something like that. Which is, again, he's revolutionized the back line. Thiago Silva was out with an injury, so their best centre back wasn't available to them. But Christensen has stepped up. Zuma looks fantastic. Rudiger, credit to him, he has been one of the most inconsistent players in the last maybe 3-4 years. But he's definitely a shoe-in for the Euros now. And yeah, their attack, I mean, they have quality, it just hasn't shown yet. But finally it's coming to fruition. It's all thanks to Thomas Tuchel and no one else.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, on last night's game, as you mentioned the attack was misfiring. I actually think for once the attack looked like it was firing on all cylinders. We can't not touch on Kai Havertz. I think that it was a very, very promising performance from Kai Havertz. I think that playing as a false 9, the way he linked up play, the way he was dropping deep, the way he was finding those positions to make those 2 goals happen, he was unlucky not to get a goal. Like for the first goal, for example, the own goal from Ben Godfrey, that's his positioning in that left-hand channel that made that happen. So, fair play to Kai Havertz and fair play to Tuchel, as we mentioned, for making sure that he plays in that role. Again, Callum Hudson-Odoi. What I liked about last night was that it summarized the best bits about Thomas Tuchel. He opted for Hudson-Odoi at the start, playing as a right winger in general. But now we've started to see Reece James play in that role, especially against the big teams, and Everton are a big team this season. So he did that. You saw Callum Hudson-Odoi playing in that 2 behind the false 9. But then you saw him and Timo Werner interchanging very well, which is why Hudson-Odoi was faring extremely well on that left-hand side, somewhere where he's an absolute boss for the under-21s as well. Timo Werner playing on that right-hand side was very interesting. Alonso and Hudson-Odoi's link-up was fantastic. Alonso kept making those darting runs, and Zuma and Christensen kept finding him with their passes, over the top. And once again, as you mentioned, their defense has been revolutionized. And those 5 clean sheets, he's the first Chelsea manager ever to do that. So that's indicative of just the changes he's made. And I think that, the only way is up. So fair play to Thomas Tuchel. But I'm going to come to you, Ritwik. We've talked about last night. We've talked about the fact that, they could get top 4, even top 3. But looking at the future, from what you've seen, do you think Thomas Tuchel could really take Chelsea to compete with the likes of Liverpool and City in the long term?
Well, he has the squad to do so. I mean, before the start of the season, we were all about the Chelsea hype, about the new signings they made. They spent 300 million in the market. They clearly have the depth to do so. Like yesterday, you see Thiago Silva didn't play, Kante didn't play. He didn't play with Giroud. He didn't play with Mount. He has the likes of all of them on the bench. He's probably going to use them in the Champions League. So there's still a lot of play to play for right now. They have the FA Cup, they have the Champions League still to go, and just a reminder that Tuchel hasn't yet bought a player yet. So this summer, with the likes of Abramovich and the money he has, if he wants his players, he'll get his players. And with the quality he already has in the team, I think this team is right up there. I think they have a better squad than Liverpool actually in terms of depth. Because if you look at their bench, he still hasn't gotten the best out of Werner yet. But I mean, he's still Timo Werner. If he gets the best out of him, he's going to sign a new striker for sure because Giroud's aging. So yeah, he's going to go all guns blazing next season. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think Chelsea, will they win the FA Cup this season? Will they be up there with Liverpool, with City next season? Let us know in the comments below.
All right, guys, we're in the final segment of the show. Player of the week, Srini, go first.
Have to be honest, even though I'm a City fan, it's Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw was the man of the match. I've been saying from day one that Luke Shaw is the best left back in the league. I think he would start for Gareth Southgate in the Euros. I think he scored a fantastic goal, and I think he pocketed the likes of Cancelo and Mahrez, and I think his high press was fantastic as well. So fair play to Luke Shaw. Fantastic remontada from him, if you will. But Ritwik, who do you think was the player of the weekend, man?
A former left back for me in Gareth Bale. I feel I'm 14 years old, living in 2013. He's making those run-ins, not from the left-hand side, but from the right-hand side. And he's being complimented by the best playmaker of the season, Harry Kane. What do you think, Adi?
Well, Harry Kane is my pick for the player of the week. Quick mention on Bale, though. He's in flying form. This Spurs side are looking really scary right now. Bale this week, 2 goals, 2 assists. And it's almost like that. It's a Kane and Son partnership, but we're seeing Gareth Bale coming into it now, which is not a good sight for the rest of the Premier League, man. Moura, Son, Kane, and Bale starting together. Pretty scary stuff. But guys, that's our show for the week. Srini, sign us off.
Yeah, guys, before we sign off, of course, let us know who your player of the weekend was. Do you think it was Luke Shaw? Do you think it was Kane and Bale doing an absolute madness? Who do you think? And of course, it's time for me to shamelessly plug More Than a Game, because of course I want you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want us to do more of these, comment below, man. Let us know. Do you like our picks? Do you hate our picks? Let us know in the comments below. You'll find the link in the description to the official MTAG website. As I said, subscribe to the YouTube. What do I have to say more? Oh yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, man, do all of that. This is all you should do all day and every day. Follow the boys on the socials, of course, and we move.